We are going to be looking at lesson 3.2 in this video. It's all about domain and range. We talk about domain and range. We're talking about the x's and the y's. So domain is always the x values of a function, and the range is always the y values of a function. So anytime they ask about domain, they're asking about the horizontal, and anytime they ask about the range, they're asking about the vertical. In other words, side to side for x, up and down for y. So this is the way it's going to ask you. It's either going to ask you about a graph, or going to ask you about a set of numbers. So let's go down here. Okay. So number 1 and number 2 are pretty straightforward. And I'm just going to walk you through how these work. Which is the domain of the linear function y equals 3x plus 5? So let's go over here to Desmos, and we're going to do y equals 3x plus 5. So let's delete what we have in here. Y equals 3x plus 5. And so the question is, does this graph stop at any place on the graph, or is it going on forever? And you know that if we zoom out and zoom out and zoom out and zoom out, this graph is going on forever and ever in every direction, up, down, left, and right. Whenever that happens, this is your answer choice right here. Negative infinity to positive infinity. And because it's the domain, we're looking for x, but they're all x. But this is the important idea, is that because this graph goes on forever in each direction, it's going to be negative infinity to a positive infinity. All right, then it says, what is the range of the linear function y equals negative 4? Let's type that in. That's a different one. Negative 4. Okay, now there's something strange about this one. It does go forever in the horizontal, in the x, in the domain direction. But when it comes to the range, it's not going anywhere. It's staying at negative 4. Every single number along here, it stays at negative 4 on the y. When that happens, we're selecting this answer choice right here, because we're saying, no, this graph doesn't go on forever. It's not looking at x anyway. Since it asks about the range, we shouldn't be choosing any of the x answers. So we're either choosing between this one or this one. But because the y is only negative 4, it's going to be answer choice 3. All right, now when it gives it to you in terms of a word problem or a list of numbers, we need to also produce a list of numbers. And this is really just common sense, more or less, but we can use the graph as well, and I'll show you how to do it. But it says Jake found a linear relationship between shoe size and foot length. The equation of the function is y equals x plus 6. So the domain is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So those are all the x's. The domain is the x's, so that's x. And they want to know which of these is the y value. Okay, so we have our x's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 11. So each time we put one of these numbers in, we are going to get that plus 6. So if I take the first number and say 1 plus 6 is 7. So right away, this is not the answer, and this is not the answer. So then we go. I don't even need to go much further, because I know there are 11 numbers here, and there are only 5 answers here. So that cannot be the answer. It has to be this one. 1 plus 6, 7. 2 plus 6, 8. 3 plus 6, 9, and so on. So then the answer has to be this one. All right, let me erase my writing there, and then let's go down to our next problem. Number 4. This is more conceptual. This is a word problem. We're just wanting to see what is the domain and range just in a general sense. In this problem, what is it talking about? Jake found another relationship by calculating profit after he inputted his car sales. So we have two things. We have he input his car sales, and he found his profit. So the input of a function is always x. The input of a function is always x. And the thing you're calculating is always the y. So then we know the input needs to be car sales. So yes, car sales, that one works. Domain profit, nope. Domain should be car sales. Domain months, nope. Okay, so we have domain car sales, domain car sales. What's the relationship? Calculating profit. So profit needs to be the range. So that eliminates this answer choice, leading me to answer choice 4. Lastly, we're going to look at graph for number 5. What is the domain and range of the following graph? So again, domain is x. Let's start there. So the x is either less than 6 or greater than 6. Well, we can see that the graph does start at 6 and the graph goes above 6. It continues up into 10, 20, and so on. So it has to be x is greater than 6. And the y, is it greater than 700 or less than 700? Well, it does start at 700 right here, but then it goes below 700, so it's going to be less than. And then lastly, is the following situation continuous or discrete? All this means is, are there a bunch of individual values, that's discrete, or is it a continuous string of values? A manager is calculating the number of metal shelves needed to display the new action figures. Here, this is very straightforward. You are going to have a specific number of metal shelves. You can't have a half of a metal shelf or a third of a metal shelf. You either have 2 or 4 or 8 or 23 metal shelves. It is discrete. There are specific individual values of the number of metal shelves that you would need.